right. Oh, wait. I'm not. I'm still not. Now I am.
Good evening, and welcome to the January 12th, 2021 regular board meeting of the Roswell Independent School District. I now call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please, Ms. Whitcamp?
Hope Morales.
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez.
Yes.
Mona Kirk.
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
Milburn Dolan.
You're... Okay, Milburn?
Mr. Dolan?
I'm here.
Thank you. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, this is a symbol of perfect friendship among the United cultures.
Are there any modifications to the agenda?
Madam President, members of the board, there are no modifications to the agenda.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second made by Ms. Sanchez. Ms. Whitcamp?
Hope Morales.
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez.
Yes.
Mona Kirk.
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
Milburn Dolan.
Yes.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. We will now go into executive session regarding limited personnel matters, consideration of a request for appeal of administrator's grievance, and limited personnel matters, review and discussion of applicants, review candidates hiring for superintendent position where no action will be taken. May I have a motion to go into executive session regarding the limited personnel matters mentioned above?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made by Mr. Edwards and a second made by Ms. Sanchez. May I have a roll call, please?
Hope Morales.
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez.
Yes.
Mona Kirk.
Yes.
James Edwards.
Yes.
Milburn Dolan.
Yes.
The motion carried to go into executive session where no action will be taken, and the time is 6:03 p.m. motion to end the executive session where no action was taken and return to regular session?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second made by Ms. Sanchez. May I have a roll call, please?
Hope Morales.
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez.
Yes.
Mona Kirk.
Yes.
James Edwards.
And we're coming out of executive session.
Yes.
Yes.
Milburn Dolan.
Yes.
The motion carried to end the executive session regarding limited personnel matters, consideration of requests for appeal of administrator's grievance, and limited personnel matters, review and discussion of applicants, review candidates, hiring for superintendent position where no action was taken, and return to regular session. The executive session ended at 7:01. Okay, we will now have the approval of limited personnel matters, consideration of request for appeal of administrator grievance. Do I have a motion?
Yes. Madam
What-
President, I'd like to make a motion to affirm the superintendent's decision regarding the administrator's grievance.
Do I have a second?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion made by Ms. Sanchez and a second made by Ms. Kirk to affirm the superintendent's decision regarding the administrator's grievance. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales.
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez.
Yes.
Mona Kirk.
Yes.
James Edwards.
No.
Milburn Dolan.
Yes.
The ayes have it, and the motion carried. Okay, we're going to begin with recognition.
Madam President, members of the board, we have two groups to recognize tonight. Our first one is Roswell High students, the Governor's STEM Challenge. Mr. Carrasco, are you on?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, would you please start us off?
Sure. At this time, we'd like to recognize the New Mexico, the Roswell High School team that competed in the New Mexico Governor's Challenge. They were able, with all of the difficulties that we're facing today, as you guys all know, on not being able to use the equipment that we have for them to accomplish everything. We had to be very creative, but regardless of the things and the hurdles and everything that was put in front of them, they found a way to compete at the top level. They were the first team selected of all the teams in order to be supported in the future and got the sponsorship for their further research. At this time, I'd like to recognize a junior student, Brianna Sanchez, a junior student at Roswell High, Karen Avila, a sophomore, Lainey Carlock, a senior, Wendelin Keller, a senior, Elibeo Cordova. At this time, I'd also like to recognize the hard and treacherous work done by two of our staff members, Miss Stephanie May, that has the engineering classes and does all the 3D printing work with our students, and also Mr. Randy Likens. I'd like to recognize those staff members. I will like to encourage anyone that has not seen the video, and I think it'd be appropriate at this time again to recognize an amazing person in our district, Mr. Jerry Holm. We have an unbelievable video that is here on the RISD webpage, and if you see that video, you're actually able to see the prosthetic that they made that recharges by solar power, and it recognizes muscle movement in the limb in order to move the arm mechanically. Needless to say, we are very proud of this group of individuals. They put a lot of hard work in, and Roswell High is very blessed and fortunate to have them. And I think the Roswell community is unbelievably blessed to have students like this representing us. So thank you very much. Board members, Madam President, and Mr. Gottlieb, Superintendent Gottlieb, thank you so much for this opportunity to recognize these young people.
Thank you, Mr. Carrasco, and I just want to celebrate these students. This is quite the achievement. I think we were all in awe at your projects and what you were able to put together, and it was just so exciting to see, and we are very proud of you.
Absolutely, and I'll echo those words. Mr. Likens, what an amazing teacher. I really enjoyed the video. It was incredible. And I want to say thank you for including the students' bios on here. It was a pleasure reading them.
It was.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you're
Yes,
doing
ma'am.
with our students.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. They did a really good job. And so we're really proud of them. And it's really worth listening to. They did a really good job.
Yes,
And I
they did.
appreciate Mr. Gottlieb very much for all he did. And
Nice.
several members that just was amazingly helping us do this.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes, I'd like to say something. Even with this pandemic that we've had, it didn't stop any of these bright and motivated students from applying their ideas and solutions to all the real problems. And I think we have a very promising future. I want to say congratulations to all of you and your teachers, a teacher who helped you shape all these ideas into real solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Anybody else?
Yeah, real quick, Mr. Crosco, Mr. Lyons, students, I can't tell you how much this means to us as a school district. It really shows off your hard work of all your years. We appreciate that extremely. One thing I want to encourage you students to take what you learned this year, the challenges that you have faced, the adversity that you had, because Mr. Lyons had me come and visit him several times at Roswell High. Randy, bless your soul. You are a kids first man, and I appreciate that. You worked through and found ways to make this project happen. I hope you take what you learned this year and those challenges you faced and move forward and do wonderful things for our society as you move forward. So congratulations to everyone in this process. Thank you.
And for our students to know, we do have a certificate celebrating this acknowledgement. So Brianna Sanchez, Eleveo Cordova, Lainey Carlock, Karen Avila, and Winnie Keller, we do have a certificate, and we'll make sure to get those out to you. Thank you.
Mr. Gottlieb, how did the school select, their sponsor? Was it an accounting firm that sponsored this team?
Mr. Lyons?
It was Deloitte?
Mr. Likens?
If I may,
Randy?
I'd like to have Winnie answer that, please. Deloitte was the one who did that, and one of their biggest things to do, they are an accounting firm,
Okay.
but they are heavy into medical technology. So if Winnie's on the line, I would like her to answer that for you.
I don't know.
Winnie, are you there? Okay, well, I guess maybe she went up, but the thing is that we competed in the medical technology part, and there were 5 corporations that were judging, and all 5 of them wanted to pick us to be their representative and to be involved with us. And Deloitte said that, well, our name starts with D, so we're going to get to them first, so we're taking them. And so it's a very, very good thing, and it's amazing how this is doing. And I would like to say one other thing, is that Winnie Keller and Ella Vale, both seniors, Winnie is looking to go to some pretty fine schools. She's at Harvard and Rice and several other ones, as well as Ella Vale going to New Mexico Tech. But our goal is this second semester our goal in the second semester is for Winnie and to Eleveo to continue that to where we can have a fully functional model that will be done, and that'll be great resume for both of these kids going to these fine engineering schools and to other schools that they're applying to. Winnie just texted me and said that for some reason she's not been able to get through to talk to me, but we really appreciate everybody. And I do want to give one shout out to Marty, the electrician at Roswell the Roswell district, and her amazing work that she did for Winnie and her to work on the Flash Jewel to create gravity.
Oh, there she
And so that's great. So That's what I have. I don't know if Winnie, are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was talking earlier, but it wouldn't work. So to answer your original question, how it was set up is we had 4 judges in our category that were each sponsor companies. We had Molina Healthcare, Deloitte, Loveless, and one other that I can't remember. And so each of those 4 judges would pick one school to sponsor. And as Mr. Lykin said, Deloitte was kind of vying for us and fighting for our project. And we were lucky enough to be picked by them. They are, as you said, an insurance company, I believe, but they do have a lot of funding in research technologies, medical engineering, company engineering. And so we were really glad to have paired up with them because they fit what we hope to do very well. And we paired up with them and matched pretty well. Additionally, we hope to further this project. It is extremely structurally sound, practical for use with the solar powered. It uses new nanotechnology, carbon nanotubes, graphene, and we were able to lower the cost 200 times what the production is. So we were hoping that by having this partnership with Deloitte, we would be able to further this project because, I mean, my teammates did a very good job. I'm very proud of them. This is my 2nd year in the STEM challenge, and I hope that their good hard work can be, physical materialized into something good.
It will.
Very exciting, Winnie. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Our next members of the board are our medical teachers. I have Jennifer Cole in line. Jennifer, would you like to start us off before we turn it over to each principal or administrator? Jennifer, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am. Thank you. Good evening, Madam President and members of the board and Superintendent Gottlieb. We're here tonight to present the Achieve Excellence Performance Coaches to you. So actually, Mr. Gottlieb, the administrators are also performance coaches themselves. So it's not that they're working directly with one of the teachers. They're all performance coaches with Achieve Excellence. So Achieve Excellence is targeted professional development through PED to early career and alternative licensed teachers. AE teachers have the opportunity to improve lesson design and execution, classroom management, use of data, and collaboration. Each AE teacher is provided an individualized performance coach to assist in the development of domains of preparation and planning, creating an environment of learning, teaching, and professionalism. The premise is that if AE teachers improve their instructional practices, then the student learning and other indicators of student success will increase. So this is our 2nd year to implement Achieve Excellence. We do have to apply to be able to participate, and so we were accepted again for the 2nd year. Mrs. Leonard oversees the Achieve Excellence performance coaches and their work with teachers. So we have Tammy Stone, who is a teacher at Berindo Elementary, a 5th grade teacher. She's been teaching for 25 years. 20 of those are with special education and gifted education, and she currently teaches 5th grade and is the lead teacher at Berindo Elementary. We have Mrs. Breezy Gutierrez. She's the assistant principal at Sierra Middle School. She's been with the district for 2 years. She has several undergraduate degrees in science and a master's degree in curriculum and instruction and educational leadership. She is also the facilitator for Making Sense of Science for PED for the last 5 years. We have Mrs. Maldonado, who's our principal at East Grand Plains. She has been a classroom teacher, a certified reading recovery coach, a dean of students, and a school counselor. She and her husband have been living in Roswell for 2.5 years. We have Miss Griffin from Mountain View Middle School. She's the principal there. This is her 11th year in RISD. She received her undergrad from ENMU and a master's from the University of Texas in Arlington. She's been a teacher, an assistant principal at the middle school level, an elementary principal, and she's now the principal at Mountain View. We have Miss Masterson, who's at Monterey Elementary. This is her 28th year of teaching. She taught 1st grade for 26 years, then kindergarten for the past 2 years at Monterey. She retired, and then she came back to teaching. And then we have Miss Leticia Benitez, who also teaches at Monterey. You met her last month. She's one of our district mentors also, so she's doing lots of work for the district. She's been with RISD 10 years, all at Monterey, teaching 3rd through 5th grade. We have Dr. Laura Lucero Carrillo. She's our advanced academics coordinator. She's a 1997 graduate of Roswell High. She has a Bachelor of Science in Elementary and Early Childhood, Master's in Secondary Education, and a Doctor of Education in Organizational Leadership, with an emphasis in instruction. This is her 20th year in education. We also have Jory Flom, who is the district literacy coach, and was also one of our district mentors mentioned last month. She has been a teacher for 26 years, 13 at Goddard High School, and this is her 2nd year working with Achieve Excellence. And finally, we have Miss Lucy Evans. She has been teaching for 28 years in RISD. 24 of those years have been with the Gifted program, and 4 years teaching 1st grade. She worked with New Mexico Public Ed on the instructional scope work. She serves on our district's instructional scope and pacing guide committee. She is the testing coordinator and building mentor at Washington Avenue. There you have it.
One more, Ms. Cole. Lucy Hall.
Lucy Evans? Oh,
Lucy Hall.
Miss Lucy Evans at Washington Avenue.
What about Lucy Hall?
Lucy Hall is not on my list.
She's in our list.
Miss Leonard, did I miss Lucy Hall? I think Miss Leonard's on the line.
And you have Kathy Adams, too.
I apologize. These are the people who
Jennifer,
yes.
it's Glenda.
Okay.
No, they are not performance coaches. They are principal supports. They're not actually doing the modules with the teachers.
So they're
So
support.
the other administrators are the performance coaches.
Yes.
Okay. That was my confusion. Now that makes sense. Okay.
Thank you, Miss Leonard.
Thanks, Glenda. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Cole, and thank you to all of our coaches. This is one of the most important tasks. We all know that keeping an educator in education past the first 5 years is a real challenge, especially for alternative licensure teachers. So it's just awesome, the specific and dedicated support that they're receiving from these names. This is just a list of some powerhouse educators and administrators. I'm not surprised to see them on our list for us to recognize them month after month. So thank you all very much.
and I second that. Gosh, just by listening to Ms. Cole, the amount of years and degrees each of them have obtained, if we put that all together, I'm sure we're talking decades and decades. So thank you all for your dedication to RISD and your hard work. You're greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Okay.
No, I just want to say I kind of feel old after seeing Mrs. Lucero. Dr. Lucero's on the list. She was my student at 5th grade. She was an awesome student, and I just 20 years already in the district. Oh boy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know that feeling, Ms. Sanchez. I promise you.
We will now have inquiries and general comments. Ms. Whitcamp, has anyone requested to speak?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. We're going to move on to approval of the minutes.
1 second, please, Ms. President. Oh, I can't lick my fingers.
I know.
Page 6.
Madam President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of December 10th, 2020.
And I know we do have some updates, Ms. Kirk.
Yes, on page 6, right underneath, let's see, Del Norte, one of the L's, or the L is left off, is De Norte, so it needs to be read DELNORTE. And on mine, that was page 6, but I'm not seeing that. It's not the same. There it is. It's on page 7, actually, I think. So that's one correction. And then on page 7, on my board book, it was, let's see, the comments, board comments, Ms. Morales, number 3, page 7, number 3, just to help it read a little smoother, what athletic programs mean to our students would help if we put programs in there. That word programs, that might help it read a little bit smoother, because as I was reading it, I was going, what? And then on page 7, number 4, let's see, there is a correction with, PowerPoint, that's what it was. It's, PowerPoint is one word, but the second P needs to be capitalized for PowerPoint. And then under my comments on page 8, I would like added my comment about my journey to receive Master Board Member recognition. There have only been 2 RISD board members receive this certification since its inception in 2000.
Ms. Kirk, can you email her that statement to make sure we capture it?
I sure can.
And Ms. Whitcamp, would you be okay with the board emailing you prior to the meeting with any typos or anything like that?
That would be great, or I can email them out to be proofread after I type them.
And
then any corrections sent back to me?
Sure, and typically I do, but then we want them read for public knowledge too.
We could still read them though and make additional changes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Any other questions or updates? Okay. Taking the updates that were mentioned by Ms. Kirk, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
Could we have a motion made by Mr. Edwards and a second made by Ms. Sanchez to approve the minutes with updates? May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Yes.
Milburn Dolan?
Yes.
The ayes have it, and the motion has carried. The consent agenda is now up.
Madam President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the consent agenda, approval of the December bills, authorization of January bills, and approval of January bar.
Is there any discussion? If not, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Edwards and a second made by Ms. Kirk. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Yes.
Milburn Dolan?
Yes.
The ayes have it, and the motion carried. Do we have any informational items tonight?
Madam President, we do have some informational items, some that we were reading and some requests from the board. Our first one, and I need to pass out, and it's quite extensive. We're not going to go over every part of it, but Mrs. Cole is going to present. And I'm sorry, Mr. Dolan, we will get you all of this tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It will kind of be like the old days, Mr. Dolan, where you had lots of stuff.
Mr. Dolan,
missing Joe Baca.
Yes, I do.
One social, local, local.
You need it?
No, the very first page.
Oh.
Julie, may I just text this to you? May I text the correction to you?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Done.
Just need that is-
Okay. Gotcha.
You want my other notes also, or is that good?
I'll have it all on recording.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay, Jennifer, I've passed out everything.
Yes, sir. So do you want me to go ahead and begin with the suicide prevention?
Yes, ma'am, please. That's the first part. That's all I passed out was the suicide prevention. We're not gonna go over the PowerPoint, board members and all the stuff, but what I wanted to do is provide you all the information that the instruction office, the counselors, and everybody's working on together, so you can kind of see what we're going on. I know this has been a big concern among the board. Ms. Sanchez has brought this up. Mr. Edwards has brought this up in concern of our kids and our health of our staff. So Jennifer, start off with the suicide prevention and go from there.
Yes, sir. So you all have copies of the threat assessments and the suicide assessments. That's what Mr. Gottlieb passed out to you. And so I just want to talk about suicide in 3 different components. The first is prevention. And so regarding prevention, we are in the process of implementing the SEL framework, and we're using the CASEL SEL model. That's also the one that PED is using. We've streamlined our referral process for counselors, and you all were presented with that information by Mr. Gosher. We are implementing the counselors' corners on each of the websites, which eases parent access to counselors. We've streamlined the referral process to community agencies. So when we find a need with students, perhaps there's a substance abuse issue or other issues, then those referrals, we have that process in place to get those students referred out so that we can intervene. We're providing, so a big part of prevention is providing the professional development to staff, both teachers and principals, so that they can learn to identify some of those red flags that occur with students. And so we will be providing professional development in SEL and trauma-informed practices starting January 27th is the first date that we have that scheduled. Then we have resource information on the district's webpage. Mr. Holm added that information. Of course, the health and wellness policy is a big part of the prevention piece. We have a partnership with Department of Health and the school health advocate there. And then we have ongoing professional development occurring with our counselors on the American Counseling Association standards. Another thing that comes into play with prevention is our IT department, particularly during this remote and virtual learning time. They are able to screen out keywords or phrases that students use when they're using our Chromebooks, and so they've identified several situations that we've had to follow up on and conduct suicide assessments and contact parents and so forth. The other thing that we're doing is we're looking at streamlining the curriculum that we have available. And so right now there's a funding opportunity through PED and CARES Act funding for schools to apply for money to implement curriculum and professional development. So we met with school principals on that this morning. We've identified some gaps in curriculum in our Tier 2 of our MLSS system, and so we'll be looking to fill those gaps. And then as far as protective factors, that's the third component. We have community partnerships, strategies for conflict resolution, school-based health services. Then we have the suicide and threat assessments that you all have in your hands. All of our administrators have been trained in those suicide and threat assessments, as have our counselors and social workers, and we'll be providing some updated training for remote and virtual learning, and that will occur in February. And we're also working on the development of a model school policy book in collaboration with the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention and the American Counseling Association. And I just really want to comment on the SEL team. So we have Cynthia Price and Megan Delaney and Brent Clay and Kristen Salyards, Bruce Gosher, and Jen Bolaños. They're our district SEL leads, and they've just done a great job collaborating together. I'm really, really happy to see the work that social workers and counselors are doing together right now. So I stand for questions.
That grant, real quick, board members, it's $10,000 per school, up to a maximum of $100,000 per district, correct, Jennifer?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we went over that with all the people that were online this morning, because it wasn't just principals, but there was a large group of teachers and counselors on there too. And we talked about that, and they went over every part of that, and what they could apply for, what it would go for. Parents and Ms. Sanchez, yes, it would be Spanish and English on those portions. I know that was one of your questions to me before. So they ensured that that process would be part of that, if we were fortunate enough to win that grant, that's part of that. So that was an exciting thing this morning. I think our opportunities are quite good right now, as we move forward.
Thank you.
And we'll just keep you informed as we move forward, board members, because I know there's lots about this. There's lots of concerns in the community. So we'll just keep you informed from time to time as we move. How about that?
Sounds
Okay?
good.
I think by working together, we can all help save a life.
Well, if you haven't been through a suicide,
Exactly.
you don't want to be, because it's the most terrible thing I've been through. The next item we have is demonstration of competency. Jennifer, I'm gonna pass those out now, please.
Yes, sir. So, board members, Public Ed released some new guidance for us regarding demonstration of competency. They did make some recommendation about perhaps implementing a temporary board policy for this 2021 cohort. So, Mr. Bewley and the high school principals and I met on that and had some discussion about it. And so the high school principals indicated that they would be interested in looking at some of those language, some of the language from PED as part of our board policy just for this year. And so we'll have to meet again to discuss further, and Mr. Bewley will take the lead on that. Are there any questions that Mr. Bewley or I can answer?
Let me add to that, and then I'll have Ken jump on real quick. As you know, last spring, we asked the board for the 2019-2020 school year graduation, that we had some one-year alternative measures for graduation. The PED has now given us some guidelines, some more guidelines of things that we can do. This would be for this school year to 2020-2021, and it would be an emergency action for the board to determine whether those things are appropriate for the Roswell Independent School District students as we move forward. Ken, do you want to add anything on to that from what you've heard from Gwen Warnament or any of those?
No, after we're done, you've covered it. It's we're looking at the language to see if there needs to be a addendum or a change to the policy, but we have been given more leeway from the PED to count our demonstration of competency because of the limited opportunities that the students have received the last 2 years now.
And we bring this to the board because from time to time we feel the board's authority has been limited. Thank you. A good word. Thank you. And we want to make sure that the board looks at this, comfortable with this, and tells us the direction they would like us to go. But we have to do this on a fairly rapid pace now because here we are going towards the end of January.
Ms. Cole or Mr. Bewley, who scores these projects? Is it the teachers, administrators?
So we're not really talking about projects right now. We're looking at some of the assessments and maybe some alternative assessments. Mr. Bewley, do you want to speak more to that?
Yes, there's some districts that, and especially charter schools that use performance-based
That's what I was asking.
right, but that's a very small, and they've had that in place, so they're trying to be inclusive. But at this time, we're just looking at making sure that the students have demonstrated their competency according to our policy in all the 5 core areas. But it's not a project-based at this time.
But if there are project-based, just like last spring, as the school board members know, and it's part of their policy, administrators do not give grades. administrators do not change grades.
Right.
A teacher is the only one that assesses a student's work and gives the corresponding grade according to what they mastered and learned. That should be the ticket for the board. I know this board hasn't seen it, but there were several years, many years ago, where administrator changed the grade. And that became actually quite an argument at the state level. So the issue is administrators do not give grades, administrators do not change grades. Grades come from teachers, and any competency-based work is always based on the teacher's criteria and what they've taught to those kids throughout that year to see how it works. So Ms. Morales brought up that question. I thought I'd better add on to that part. Jennifer or Ken, you want to add anything to that?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, I think you've covered it. Thank you.
Okay. So Ms. Sanchez would like to give us some feedback.
I was just gonna ask one question. Are you gonna allow on-the-job experiences or community services that demonstrate the career readiness at any point? No?
You can't count community service.
I'll start just by saying I think that is a great idea. The more work-based learning experiences we can provide for our students, the better. As far as using those experiences to demonstrate competency, I'll let Mr. Bewley speak to that because he's doing some additional work on the demonstration of competency as part of a cohort group. So Mr. Bewley, do you want to take that question on?
Yes, that's going to be an ongoing process, and one item that we're very interested in, especially for our UHS students, is using real-world experience and how can we incorporate that into our policy. But right now, that is not the case that we have right now. Just for we haven't used that to demonstrate competency in the 5 areas, just through their courses, whatever CTE courses that might apply to.
So at the legislative session this last year and this year, there is quite a bit of talk. This is a reversal of the state's thinking. You know, at one time they wanted everybody to go straight to a 4-year type college. And it really bypassed our schools like Eastern out here at our base, where we have the 2-year base program, but we have the career and technical. And our workforce people right now are screaming for career and technical kiddos. Ms. Kirk was at a meeting this past week where we were with Leadership Roswell, and that was one of the questions that came to me was the CTE programs. And I was very honest with them. We had some leadership at the state level that said CTE is dead and we're not going to be worried about that. We're going to force everybody to go straight to college. Well, that was a mistake, as we all know that. Eastern has provided an outstanding partner for us in that area. So I hope that kind of helps with your question, Ms. Sanchez. It's going that way. We're very fortunate Ken is on that committee with the state, so we can get our points in. So board members, please feed that to us if you have any points. Mr. Edwards is also going to take this back to the president, Sean, and also get his input, because I think it's really important that we get that feedback from our best community college partner or college partner that gives us some input in this issue on workforce. For example, as you well know, if kiddos are in breaks and they're going out to Kremlin on the breaks and working out that, should not that count? If they appropriately master the ASH certification, should that not count? The answer is it should count. So these are those things that we're working toward, ensuring that the CTE is a very viable program, and that a lot of times, I hate to tell you this, there are kiddos with my 31 years plus of education and my almost doctorate degree. I have people in my own family that went CTE and they're 8 years into their job and they're making twice the money I'm making. So, you know, this is an important area for the board. You saw the evaluation last year from, I passed it out, maybe I should pass it out again, from our evaluation to see if the Roswell District was providing to all our students of all genders, of all colors, of levels of education, and we met all the criteria with the exception of a few. We only had a small number in those. So if you had 3 people, you only had 2 in the program, you still were short by 1. But we did real well on that evaluation from the state. So, Ken, thank you very much for
Ms.
being on this. Ms. Sanchez has another
I
question.
was just gonna ask, have you considered the military enlistment as counting it as
Gosh, I don't know. That's a new one on me.
okay?
Did you hear that, Ken? Mr. Bewley?
I'm sorry, I mute myself so my dogs don't bark and make noise. But yes, I did hear that. There are some districts that do look at that, but we do include the ASVAB test as one of our demonstrations of competency. So we do encourage our students to use that and make sure that we get the score.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken. Appreciate it.
Last question, sir. With the understanding that things can change and with the new guidance, when does the district plan to have a final plan regarding demonstrations of competency?
For this year, we're going to bring you some language if it's determined that we're going to need to make a change for the next board meeting. We don't want to wait any longer.
So any feedback that you can give us, board, is really, really important.
Okay.
I can't stress that enough. These are your kids and your graduation that you're going to certify.
Thank you, Mr. Bewley.
All right, our next item is student attendance, semester 1. Ms. Jeremiah?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Helen. How are you this evening? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I
All
believe
right.
everyone has the printout of the PowerPoint that I created.
It's going to be online. I don't have, well, no, I don't have that one.
It's right here.
Okay, she emailed it to you, board members.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Helen.
All righty. Good evening, everyone, Madam President, board members, and Superintendent Gottlieb. I've been the attendance officer for the school district since 2017, and as we're all aware, everything has changed, shifted a lot recently, and I wanted to cover some of what we're working on in the areas of attendance. The compulsory attendance law was repealed and replaced with the Attendance for Success Act. This year, PED required us that we update and include some guidelines for remote learning. We, in accordance with PED, have established some guidelines such as attendance being captured using one or a combination of either check-in based attendance, participation based attendance, packet pickup and return, phone call check-ins. We mark students present for the day or for the class period when they participate in video conferencing or virtual classrooms, interactive tutorials, online study groups, if they post in a discussion forum or an online academic discussion, if they complete online web forms or surveys, phone calls and conference calls, text, emails, submitting assignments, all of those will allow them to be marked present for the day if they're elementary or for the class period if they're secondary. Assignments do not need to be completed during traditional class time. If they complete an assignment after attendance has been taken for that class period, then the school is supposed to go back and adjust when they've completed the assignment to show that they were present for that day. Schools are encouraged to incorporate various practices that help promote student engagement and decrease any sense of isolation by frequent and multiple contacts such as emails, phone calls, and video conferencing. Schools are also reminded that flexibility is key in handling the individuality of each student's circumstances. Each school has created their own attendance plan that aligns with PED and the Attendance for Success Act. In the PowerPoint or in the handout that you were given, I included examples of a plan for an elementary school. Majority of the plans are the same. Not all schools offer the same types of Some use PBIS, some use CHAMPS, and so the wording may be a little bit different, but for the most part, they all were assigned to create Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 strategies. Tier 1, just as an overview real quick, is whole school prevention efforts for students that are 0 to 5% of absences to date. Tier 2 is individualized prevention efforts for the students that are missing 5 to 10% of the school year. Tier 3 is for the early intervention for students that are missing 10 to 20% of the school year. And then Tier 4 is intensive supports for students that are missing 20% or more of the school year. So their attendance plans include strategies, performance measures, and data collection for all tiers. The district has also created an online referral form for attendance-related issues. In the fall, we had organized a parent Zoom for attendance-related questions and discussion. In my department, we personally reached out and attempted to contact the 10-day drops from the district from August 19th to November 6th. We did this after November 6th, but there were 89 students that we actually reached out to and made personal contact with to figure out what we needed to do to help them so they could re-enroll from being a 10-day drop. Now, of course, we figured out that some of those had moved out of state or out of town or transferred to another district, but we did personally reach out to those students that were reported as 10-day drops. We continuously call, text, and email parents to offer assistance when students are not attending regularly. And we focus on family engagement, and we refer to outside agencies for additional supports. I'm sure everybody is familiar with CASA, Wings for Life. We refer out to various counseling services, internet providers, Department of Health, and a new one this year is Engage New Mexico. So Engage New Mexico is a statewide funded program, or a statewide program funded by PED, and it offers New Mexico's local education agencies, assists schools and families with the COVID-19 pandemic by providing intensive outreach, engagement, and enhanced support for students in grades K through 12. Their overview states that they start with a multi-model outreach strategy designed to reach eligible students and families via phone, mail, text, or social media. Once reconnected, students are given the opportunity to work with a dedicated coach through the end of the school year. The coach then helps to identify and mitigate the obstacles preventing engagement, helps the students learn the skills necessary to succeed in remote learning environments, monitors the student's pace and progress, and provides the support the student needs to stay engaged, helping them continue with their educational journey and progress toward graduation. The students that are eligible and qualify for Engage New Mexico are students in K through 12 who did not engage in their remote continuous education offerings in the spring of 2020. They are in need of intervention by being absent or not consistently engaged in their classes. They're in danger of failing one or more classes. They are eligible for the McKinney-Vento program or are possibly in foster care, and students whose families have requested additional support. Engage New Mexico is free for all students, and parents can also self-refer by phone, email, or online. The district has referred 1,404 students. We submitted all the information to Engage so that they can reach out to those families. That breaks down to 287 elementary students, 249 middle school students, and 868 high school students, including early college and university Gardner-Russell High. They currently have 1,428 students enrolled, which means that there was about 24 other referrals or parents and families who self-referred. Engage has reached out to, they have attempted to contact 851 students that we referred. They were able to contact 561 of those attempts so far, and 425 of the students committed to receiving help from their coaching services. 136 students declined the coaching, but they've made 5,659 calls, not including attempts by text message or email, from the beginning of the school year until December 18th. The data that we have, or the data that I gave you in the PowerPoint, is only good until December 18th. They give me an update weekly, but I don't get it until late Friday afternoon, so that data was not available at the time this was put together.
Officer Cheremiah,
Yes.
is it their intention to contact all 1,400 of those students?
It is their intention, yes. They have the information that we provided them from our enrollment records, but some of those numbers have been disconnected, changed, and so they use their other resources to try to get updated information to contact them. Of course, it's all a big, it's not very easy if the phone numbers have been changed and we haven't updated. We don't have those updated contacts in our enrollment.
Thank you.
So there's other data listed. I mean, in the charts that you guys received. I think what's interesting to me is that they ask the students, when they ask the students and families if they're willing to participate in the program, or if they would like to, just decline or opt out. And they ask the elementary students questions, different questions than the secondary students. If you go further down in the data charts, there's some orange graphs that show the questions that they ask to the elementary students, such as, will Engage be working directly with the students' parents? Does your family need help on how to talk with teachers or ask for support with homework? Do you know how to contact your student's teacher? Do you know how to access your student's school assignments? And for the most part, those are all pretty positive answers. There's good percentages of parents that know how to contact the teachers and get online and that sort of thing. 93% of them have access to a computer. 82, at this point, up until December 18th, 82% of them had access to the internet. Whether or not they struggle with the using of the computer, or if the child needs extra support in reading and math. And then when they get up to the middle school and high school level, they ask them different questions, such as, does the student know how to contact the teacher and access their assignments? If they have a career or education plan after graduation, if they currently have an adult checking on their progress, if they're in foster care, are there other commitments that they have outside of the school? If they're responsible for taking care of siblings or other children while they're supposed to be doing their work online, and if they're McKinney-Vento eligible. What we've done is give and Engage a list of our support staff that if they have a student that is McKinney-Vento eligible, Engage has Ms. Barraza's phone number and contact information so they can put the student directly in touch with the McKinney-Vento person. And they do the same for if the kid is having computer issues, they have the direct number for our IT supports that they can put the student and the family in contact with those people directly. Does anybody have any questions as far as the data that I've shared, or what the district is doing right now as far as helping with attendance?
So, Ms. Cheremiah, this is Mona Kirk.
Yes, ma'am.
So, if all else fails, if you've tried all these attempt to get a hold of the parent, get a hold of the child, if all else fails, what's your last resort? Or is this the last resort?
This is not the last resort. Using Engage is a tier 3 intervention. And so, yes, they do service students who are in tiers 1, 2, and as well as 3. But this is not a last resort. On top of Engage doing everything they can to reach out to the families, the schools are still following their attendance plans. They're still mailing out our letters, attempting to set up meetings, either whether it's over the phone or virtual meetings right now. I personally would normally go to the person's house and knock on the door, but because of public health orders and, limited face-to-face contacts, I am skeptical about going to somebody's home when it's trying to get the student to engage who is still in the home. So if that makes sense, it's a whole lot easier for me to go knock on the door and say, okay, come on, let's get your kid back in school. And then the student goes off to the building. It's a little bit more difficult if I go knock on the door and say, okay, we need the kid to log in, because a lot of that has to do with the parental supports. And everybody has their own situation that, makes things difficult. Or some of them have situations where it's very easy for them to do the remote learning. But everybody's situation is different. My main thing is to get to the root cause of why they're not either logging in, engaging, or participating in their required activities. And then I do problem solving. And if it's an internet issue, I refer them to, the internet providers that are helping us with that. If it's a parent that works, we try to brainstorm and get different ideas for, just to help the student to be a little bit more successful and feel less isolated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Morales, anything else?
So, Mr. Golub, do you think we can say that the district promotes more alternative or legal action?
Right now, it's alternative action
Okay.
than
Perfect.
legal action. As you start moving with as the board will start moving towards the new MLSS and all that support, which was supposed to happen this year, but there's no way, that's just one more thing for teachers on top of what they're already doing. So as you start moving for attendance for success, the MLSS, and those things, you're gonna see a lot more tiered support. That's why they have the tiers system before you go straight to the legal system, the referral, unless it's just a total neglect type situation that we must by law have to refer. Engage New Mexico has been an interesting thing. I really appreciate the PED making that available to us. That has just been another help for the staff. As you well know, we are still short counselors. We would love to have more, even in budget years. They sure add that extra layer of support for our kids who are going through some very difficult things at home, not just COVID, but other difficult situations. So I foresee this as being one of those things, Ms. Sanchez, that was going to continue for years down the road. It's one of those things that's been needed, and we have some better direction, and the PED, Dr. Stewart, is providing us some excellent guidance on this. And Engage New Mexico was one of those brainstorms from his department.
So when each of the elementary schools or high schools have their plan on how to, involve the parents and the kids to stay at school, she said everyone had a different plan?
Everybody has a different plan, because it has to be gauged to you. Like, you could not have the same page for Roswell High as you would University High School.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? It has to be unique to that school, just like the 90-day plan. There are points in the 90-day plan where everybody's the same, but there's other areas, they're all very different. And they need to be different.
And those plans are approved by you or by anybody in the district?
The 90-day plans are approved by us.
No, I'm talking about the individual school plans.
The attendance for success goes to the PED. Those will go to the PED. You're gonna see the MLSS. We haven't received all our training yet, so I can't tell you how that's gonna be rolled out completely next year. So that's gonna be one of those issues. And that's why you're also seeing Ms. Cole providing, along with the SEL, which is our support services for kids, but you're also learning how to do some intervention with parents and getting kids to school, Why school? Why is school important? I mean, that really is an important question for a lot. Why does my kid really need this? So, those are some of the things, those hard questions that sometimes you have to look at the situation that the parent family, the kid's family, caretaker of the kid is in, so you can help them see the necessity of that issue. Thank you, Ms. Sanchez.
Thank you.
Officer Jeremiah, thank you for all your hard work on this.
I've got a question.
Mr. Edwards.
In one of the graphs that that was up on the board, I was a little bit concerned, and I'd like to ask this question. I noticed that there was a high percentage of where it says siblings, taking care of siblings.
Yes, 17%, I think that was.
kind of low to me.
Are we finding it that high in Roswell where we have kids taking care of kids?
It always has been, Mr. Edwards. I hate to
Right,
say it.
but I'm just saying that percentage, it kind of worried me when I saw that. So how are we? One of the problems that I'm looking at is if we've got kids taking care of kids, how are they doing how are they taking care of themselves? And not only I'm talking about the educational part.
Health-wise.
And so, how many people work with you, Ms. Jeremiah? Because it sounds like you're a group of one. So that kind of concerns me.
Yes, sir. For the most part, for attendance, I am the only attendance officer for the school district.
Right.
But each school has an attendance team that they've all established, team members, multiple members in the team at each school to take care of their individual issues. And the issues only come to me after all of their intervention efforts are not producing a positive result.
So, I'm looking at that number, and it's pretty high.
Yeah,
Yes, and those numbers are all for the Roswell Independent School District. This is not a general statewide. That 17% is answers that were given by our students.
Wow.
And so that could be a 17-year-old taking care of a 12-year-old. That could be a 16-year-old and an 8-year-old. You know what I mean? It could be anywhere up to, and our students are still 18, 19 years old in school as well.
87.65.
And so it's not necessarily always a kid watching after a kid or a sixth grader caring for an infant. You know what I mean? And so we
did take care of siblings.
Yeah.
And that's middle school, because it's based on middle school and elementary and everything else, right?
So let's go to high school.
Yeah, what is a high school?
Let's look at the high school one too.
right.
Right there, 17%.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
So there, if you add the percentages together, it's a considerable amount. You'd have to add the numbers together, which we don't have numbers on the average percent. But it kind of gives you an idea that we do have siblings taking care of siblings, because either there's a single person family home, or as in a lot of families right now, they're having to work 2 jobs.
Yep.
And Mr. Edwards, I appreciate you bringing that up, because that is a concern as we move forward, as kids taking care of kids.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
Mr. Gallup, I know Roswell High has implemented a modified schedule to try to help with attendance issues. Can you keep us updated to see if it's improving attendance, or?
Yes, ma'am, we will. I haven't sent that out as a whole bunch of information yet. I asked Mr. Carrasco to do some evaluation among the teachers, among the parents, among the students, to see what that looks like, how learning is going, how's the grades coming along. I hate to use the term grades, because grades doesn't equal learning, but that's one way we measure it. And then the attendance portion of it, and then what are the comments coming back? Your initial ones are real positive, but over time, we want to see what that turns out to be.
Okay.
So that's, again, part of their attendance for success that Mr. Edwards asked. Is that a private, by the school side?
Any other questions?
Yeah, one more. So, sorry. So this information, I don't, Ms. Cole, are you on? Probably not, but so
Yes,
all,
ma'am.
oh, I'm sorry. So all this information is documented, because I know before when we did the EPS, we had to document this information in our EPS. Is it the same thing for the ESSA program? Is this information documented in their program or their 90-day plan?
It is. So as Mr. Gottlieb said, they have to have these attendance for success plans. Helen monitors those plans, as does Jen Bolaños and I, and so they document what they're doing. And then in their 90-day plans, this can be a part of their 90-day plan if it's something that they identify as a priority that they're working on within their school. So if they have a really high chronic absenteeism rate, then they would certainly want to have that documented within their 90-day plan.
So I'm kind of thinking forward, this would be some great information in comparison from the past 3 years, including last year and this year, to share with PED to let them know what our attendance has looked like for the past 3 years during COVID, during lockdown, and with our kids not in school. So it might be another data point to share with our Secretary of Education. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Lots of information tonight for you. McKinley Vitos, Jennifer, semester 1, Veronica Barraza.
And professional development.
Oh, I skipped over that one. Excuse me, Veronica, I skipped over professional development. Jennifer?
Yes, sir. I just have a very short PowerPoint, mostly because I want to show the board members some work that Mrs. Leonard and Mr. Holm have been doing on the district's website. So here it is. So first I want to say thank you to Mr. Holm for putting this presentation together for us. And this is just a brief update since December. So we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So this is a picture of the Monday memo that goes out throughout the district to all of the teachers and administrators. And so teachers can access professional development links through that Monday memo. Those links are live, and Mr. Holm has been the one who's created that for us. And so every week, the directors and coordinators send their various information for their section, and we add it to the Monday memo, and this is where the teachers access what they need to know, and the administrators. Then on the next page, we have a sample of Moby Max professional development, and so these are live videos that the teachers can access. There you go. For professional development, and this is also on the web page. This is new. Ms. Leonard and Mr. Holm have been working on it. So just wanted you to have that visual, and it is still a work in progress. Then on the next page, on the next slide, we have the Canvas professional development links that teachers can access. Do you have that, Mr. Braggs?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, we do.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I'm looking at my screen and, okay. So this is the Canvas page. Then on the next page, we have all of the on-demand trainings that we published in December. So teachers had the opportunity to, not that they wanted to do this during their break, but they had the opportunity to do them in the break, and they're still available. And we did compensate teachers for off-contract time for accessing these and participating in the on-demand materials. And on the next page, you can see we had 32 teachers register for 133 sessions. We had 13 sessions that were completed. There's a learning guide that goes with those sessions. And we have surveys for each of the sessions so that we can continuously improve what we're offering. And then we had some district leaders provide professional development. So we had 9 trainings offered, 98 teachers attended. And the next page is just information about what teachers need and feedback on those professional development sessions. I won't read through all of those. And then whether or not they would recommend the on-demand training to the colleagues. And so we got lots of positive response for that. And then we asked for how we can be more helpful in meeting professional development needs. So that next page is with teacher responses. And so we will be adding more professional development starting actually on January 26th. This PowerPoint says January 19th, but it will be on the 26th that we'll roll out the next set. And then we asked teachers what else they would like us to know, and they gave feedback on that. And I just want to point out that this does not include some of the ongoing training that we've been having throughout the year. So we have the letters cohort work that we have many of our elementary teachers, first grade, participating in. We have the 90-day coaching training that's happening with SREB, and that work is ongoing. We have ongoing AVID professional development, and Mrs. Leonard and Dr. Lucero Carrillo are working with our AVID teachers in sessions every other week. And then we have some of our in-district experts. We have Dr. Robert Lee, who is one of our physical therapists. He will start providing training to teachers and to our physical education teachers on movement and how movement is beneficial in reducing behaviors or helping with some of the behavior issues that we have. So we're really excited about that training. And then Ms. Price and Coach Clay will be providing some training on trauma-informed practices starting on January 27th. And then we also have some school-specific trainings that are happening. Sierra Middle School and Roswell High School are both implementing Capturing Kids' Hearts. And I believe they start on that tomorrow.
Nice.
So, may I answer any questions?
Ms. Cole, I just have one question. It's my understanding that most of these sessions are voluntary, but if we have any teachers who are really struggling with online teaching, can administrators require that they attend specific trainings that might help them in whatever area that they may be having challenges with?
Yes, ma'am, they certainly can.
It can be part of the individualized PDP,
Perfect, that's what I was wondering.
and that's a critical component.
And one other thing I'd like to add, Mr. Gottlieb and board members, is that for the past 2 days, PD has offered an assessment webinar sessions, and they have just been excellent. We had several of our principals attend those, and several here at district office, and a few of our teachers. And so they will be providing those recorded sessions, or most of the sessions, to districts. And so I'd like to work with principals to perhaps roll some of those out in their PLCs. One of the sessions was on equitable grading practices, and that one was this morning, and it was just an outstanding training. And then we had another one that was by Douglas Fisher, and he's an expert in assessment. And so we had, in August, purchased the Fisher and Fry playbook for distance learning for all of our principals. And so he gave an excellent presentation this afternoon, and so I'd like to investigate utilizing some of those sessions for our schools.
And for the board's information, Dr. Gwen Warnament was part of that, so I know you guys have gone to kind of know her from our contacts and all the information we've sent. She's an outstanding individual at the PED. They're very fortunate. All right, any other thing? Thank you, board member. Thank you, Jennifer. Now,
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
McKinney Vito, I'm sorry, Veronica, you're up next.
Yes. Good evening, Madam President, board members, and Superintendent Gottlieb. I am the Family, Youth, and Transition Liaison and Foster Care Liaison for our school district. And I have a short PowerPoint that I'd like to share. So the McKinney-Vento vision is to ensure children experiencing homelessness to access equal opportunity for free, appropriate public education, and the mission is to work with school districts and other partners in order to provide educational stability. So this is a little comparison for semester 1 that I've done for how many students have been identified. And if you can see this school year, we have a very low number of students that have been identified compared to semester 1 for 2018-19, which we had 118 students per semester. And I think a lot of it has to do with us not being in person, so we're unable to identify those kids. So the next slide is community agencies. So these community agencies that collaborate with me is the TRIO, Wings for Life, Casa Girl Circle, Leadership, Operation School Bell, NIMI. NIMI has done the last 2 years, they did a coat drive for our students, not necessarily just my homeless, but we were able to use those coats to also give to the kids that weren't qualified for the McKinney-Vento but were in need, and also the Homeless Coalition. The next one is foster care students. So I really don't have a lot of foster care students right now. They're usually referred through CYFD. So my support to those kids is enrollment, keeping them in their home school, food services, transportation, or if they transfer out of our district into another district, state, I help make that transition easier. So I communicate with that state's McKinney-Vento liaison. So the data that I collect is, I put 2 examples. I have a homeless log, which has the student name, ID number, grade level, the type of supports that I've given the student, and other, like if they have an IEP, 504, so I help get them through, get their special services done. And I also keep a log of the students' grades by quarter. So if my students are failing, I try to communicate the best I can with the parents to let them know where they're having difficulties and connect them to their school, counselor, teacher, administrator, anybody that's needed for that help. Another thing I do is I do a monthly email. This email I use for open communication with the schools and the program. So I try to update it each month. If I have an addition to their school, I send them an email, let them know who their addition is, so that they also know who their kids are that are currently being serviced through the McKinney-Vento. Also, the supports that are offered by the liaison is all of this that's listed: backpack, school supplies, hygiene products, uniform clothing, transportation, lunches. So I also, on the lunches, I update the lunch office by month also to let them know who our students are in the McKinney-Vento so that they know they are eligible for free lunch. I also help students with referrals to fast food, so that's where TRIO comes in. And I also, for my seniors, I order their cap and gown so that there's no difficulty in them buying it. We provide it for them. We have bus tokens too for parents in need to attend meetings for students at school that have a problem with transportation. And I also have a list of community resources in Roswell that are offered to not just the students, but family-wise. And I give them, after their assessment, I give them that list to the parent. That way they know what's out there for them. And if you have any questions, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. This is an awesome program. Just a couple. I may have missed it, but what is McKinney-Vento? Is it a national program? Is it a grant? How did we come upon this to implement it?
The McKinney-Vento is a law.
Oh,
It's a law.
okay, it's a law. So so the money is
Federal.
it's through a federal grant, or is it
Yes.
just supplemented by RISD?
It's a federal grant.
Okay. Yes, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Ms. Kirk, may
Yes.
I add to that? And
Please.
Veronica, I apologize, I don't mean to interrupt, but so our homeless is funded through Title I, and it's a
Right.
requirement because McKinney-Vento is a federal law, and so we have to implement that in the district, but it's funded through our Title I program. There are supplementary grants that are available, and we have applied for those, and we have received those supplementary grants.
Okay, that helps. And so she's the only, our only liaison for the McKinney-Vento.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Barraza, do the partnerships that you have in place meet the needs of your students, or do you need any additional support in any specific areas?
No, right now they do. So what I do is I talk to the parents and I ask them if the kids need someone to talk to, which if it's a girl, it's girl circle, boys leadership. The elementary kids for Wings for Life, if they're interested in that kind of help. And then for counseling, when they come into for the assessment, or right now we're doing it online, over the phone, I ask them during the assessment if, because of their hardship, if their student needs some kind of counseling, and then the parent will let me know and I refer them to either our counselors in school or outside counseling.
But as far as
So I think
as far as backpacks, school supplies, things like that as well?
Actually with the McKinney-Vento monies, I buy all that for them, backpacks, school supplies, everything that they need. I also even provide them if they have a project, a big project to do. I have mostly all supplies that they need for any kind of project that they need.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just Googled this, I'm sorry. So it was it's in the Homeless Assistance Act, and it was implemented in 1987.
Yeah.
Wow,
They changed the name on this one a little differently.
okay.
And they've also put more money behind it.
Well-
And that's been the nice part, because then we can really reach out to all these parents. I was trying to think of the lady, Hilda, who used to help us with this. As soon as I say it, you'll know it. I'll think
I know
about
we
it.
had a homeless liaison.
Right.
But
Not Leticia, no,
no, Ms. Gomez was,
a parent. Yes.
yeah.
You're talking about Miss
liaison.
Velada?
No, Martha,
Because she was doing it too.
I think it might be right, Martha.
is she, I'll ask her.
Okay, so, but with what the fortunate part of this is there is some more money behind this, is be able to provide a lot more support. I mean, you just think about this. If they're in this predicament, they can actually help buy them the caps and gowns in that situation. That is just an
Honest.
outstanding achievement for them to do, just that one
Right.
thing for those poor seniors at that time in their life.
So and I just went through that myself, but I mean, that's a huge expense when you're looking at
Oh,
seniors
absolutely.
graduating.
Yes, you're finding that out this
I
year.
am, and it was like, wow,
Just
what do we do
pictures.
for those children? Yeah, the pictures, the caps, the gowns, the announcements, I wanted to see if we had something available to help, maybe set up a fund or something to help some of these kids so they can get senior pictures, because that's an important milestone with some of these children, more so than others, but some of the kids just graduating is huge, and gosh, I don't want them not to have it just because of finances. So gosh, if there's anything we can do to help. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Cole.
This is Veronica.
Oh,
so
Veronica.
last year, Herf Jones, when I ordered the first set of cap and gowns for my McKinney-Vento kids, he didn't have me pay for them. He donated it to our kids, and plus gave them their announcements.
Awesome.
So Herf Jones has been very, very kind to our kids.
Nice, nice. Thank you. How about pictures, senior pictures? No, I'm just asking, I'm not suggesting, I'm just asking. Is there anything to help?
Not through the McKinney-Vento. That's not a necessity for graduation, so it's not considered a necessity.
Okay.
So one last question for you, Mr. Gottlieb. I think this is just an amazing resource for our students. Can we do anything else to help really get the information out there for families who, I don't know if it's a self-referral program for some families as well, or making sure our teachers, principals, whoever, I just want to make sure that the information is out there.
We do have it out there. Here's the problem, and Veronica said it right up front. We don't have the kids in school. And this has been our whole problem all year with everything we're dealing with. Because if we have the kids in school, usually that direct referral, because most parents, they don't understand the different laws, the different requirements, or the different things that are available to them. But our staff
Does.
They understand that. They know what those kids need. As you well know, the referrals, and I've told you, to the Assistance League and all this, all that is down because they're not in school. I just saw a kid at a 7-Eleven, and he looked so bad. When the mom walked out the store, I went out after her and I said, "Excuse me, I don't want to be forceful or anything, but is your kid in school?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Has anybody told you about the Assistance League and helping you with kiddos, with clothes?" And she said, "No." And I said,
Here.
"We will help you with this, okay?" So this is the problem. We don't get to see those kids in person, fully dressed, not fully dressed, whatever the situation. So it's really difficult for our staff to do some of these intervention type things when we don't. We're just blessed to have people like Kellen Jeremiah, LJ, Veronica, who can provide those extra support when we don't have those eyes in the classroom all the time.
And totally hearing you and understanding what you're saying, I still wish if we have a flyer, if we have something, I don't want us to get used to, well, when we see them, we can do more, do better. And I know it's a struggle, but I always want to make sure we're trying to do more and better. And even if it's a flyer you could have had in your pocket that day to hand that family, I think would be awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Or maybe
ma'am.
you can just do a post on the website. And
We
just,
do.
just doing the announcement, because
We do have that.
So we can help share that out.
You can help share that out, because
Yeah.
it's
And
there.
this will help share.
Well-
And this, absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Vanessa.
so is
Mr.
the,
Gottlieb,
I have a
may I just
question.
add one more thing?
Hold on, hold on.
got-
Mr. Edwards has a question.
Several.
Okay, you mentioned the Assistance League. Are they still accepting kids?
Oh, yes, well, let's see, what
See,
is it,
because
January?
she's-
Yes,
Okay, because is that one, I didn't see that on that.
yes, it was. Assistance League was up there.
Okay.
It was. And is it,
What about the Women's Auxiliary?
I don't know that one.
Okay.
Veronica?
Yeah.
Does the Women Auxiliary help?
No, I didn't know about that one.
Okay. So there's maybe one more we could add to our list.
And then I know the National Guard also does the drive for the coats
Yeah.
for kids, and it's real big up in northern New Mexico. Actually, they take the jackets from here and they're taking them up to northern New Mexico.
And even our public library handed out backpacks with supplies.
So, I was just wondering if the Assistance League was currently taking them, because it sounded like, are there restrictions on that right now with all of the COVID stuff?
Well, there are restrictions for the Assistance League. What they're doing now, and I know this personally, it's just that we ask the parents to fill out a form, put the child sizes, and then we bag it all up, and then they hand it to the parents. So that's still going on. The other way is better where they can fit them, but because of COVID right now, we can't do that. But they've been a big partner in the school district, and I sure appreciate all those communities that help us with those issues. Thank you. Now, Jennifer, I think you had a thing, and then Veronica had something else.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to mention that Veronica and Helen and Kristen and the team have had some Zoom opportunities also for parents. So we published that out there and put it on Facebook, and they've been available. The other thing that they've done is they've sat in with a couple of schools and the principals to share information about their services with the staff and update them. And so we will put it out there to principals again if they would like for Helen and Veronica to sit in any of the PLCs or staff meetings. They're available to do that as well.
Okay.
So last question, if we come across any parents or families who may be needing assistance, can we direct them to Ms. Barraza? Is that the best contact?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
And she's in the email system, so you can just do that directly.
Thank you so much. Great information.
You're welcome.
The last item for informational is assessment updates. Jennifer?
I'm so sorry, Mr. Gottlieb, you cut out just for a second. I didn't.
Assessment updates. Assessment updates.
Oh, yes, Mr. Bewley has some dates just to share with the board. Mr.
The one assessment that we have for sure that's coming up is only for 11th graders. That's the PSAT and MSQT. We had wanted to do that in the fall, but there was just not enough room with the 8-to-1 that we were required. We couldn't put them in with the seniors. So this is our last date. It's not required, but we wanted to offer the opportunity, and each high school has been contacting their 11th graders individually to see if anyone wants to take advantage of it. There's not a huge response, but we might have some students that are going out of state, and we have those that want to participate to get into the college search and the scholarship opportunity. So that'll be January 26th, and that's only for 11th graders. That's the PSAT and MSQT. Everything else has been pushed back and put on hold. I have a feeling that we are going to do the access for ELs that's required by the federal government as well as the state. So everything else is still pending, and we have states throughout the country that are requesting a waiver for state assessments for this year. None of those have been approved yet, but the current administration will be leaving pretty soon, and the new administration will come in. So I think everyone is kind of holding their breath and waiting to see what the rest of the year is how the rest of the year is going to play out. But we are looking at completing the access for ELs. That has now been extended. We cannot start until after February, during February, but it's been extended till the end of the year. So there's not any rush on that one. And everything else is, like I said, up in the air. I wish I could tell you something more definite.
Mr. Bewley, are the schools contacting the students directly or the parents?
The students and the parents. So they do robocalls, they do emails. These are the 11th graders, so they're the older kiddos. But we want to make sure that we're going to additionally do some advertising this next week to make sure that everyone has heard about it. But we've gotten response. We can only reserve a spot for a student if they want to come take it. And the reason for that is we're still at a 5-to-1 ratio. So it's even more restrictive than when we did the senior SAT testing in the fall. So it's even a smaller number that we can fit in. So we'll see how many kiddos that want to participate in this. And again, it's not required, it's optional, and we just want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity if they choose to take advantage of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Okay, action items are next on the agenda. First, we have approval of policy J3000, tobacco use by students, smoking, second reading.
Madam President, I recommend approval of policy J3000, tobacco used by students and smoking. This is a second reading.
Is there any discussion? May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Edwards and a second made by Ms. Kirk. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Yes.
Milburn Dolan?
Yes.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. Now we have approval of policy G1100, tobacco use by staff members, smoking, second reading.
Madam President, members of the board, I recommend approval of policy G11,000, tobacco use by staff members, members smoking, second reading.
Is there any discussion? May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion made by Ms. Sanchez and a second made by Ms. Kirk. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Yes.
Milburn Dolan?
Yes.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. Next, policy K1750, tobacco use smoking on school premises, second reading.
Madam President, members of the board, I recommend approval of policy K1750, tobacco use smoking on school premises. This is a second reading.
Is there any discussion? May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second made by Ms. Sanchez. Roll call, please.
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Yes.
Milburn Dolan?
Yes.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. Next, policy K2250, advertising in schools, second reading.
Madam President, members of the board, I recommend approval of policy K2250, advertising in school. This is a second reading.
Is there any discussion?
Can I get a copy of that?
Your paper copy?
Yes.
Yes.
So I can know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I can get it later.
No. Let me get it before you vote on it.
That's advertisement on school property on tobacco products?
It just says advertising.
Yeah, it's advertising.
Tobacco products, I think.
It's in board book too.
It should be, no, it's not just on tobacco.
Oh, okay.
The board. Okay, thank you.
Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Edwards, any questions, discussion we can help you with?
No.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
We have a motion made by Mr. Edwards and a second made by Ms. Sanchez. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Yes.
Milburn Dolan?
Aye.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. Next, policy J4950, student wellness, second reading.
Madam President, members of the board, I recommend approval of policy J4950, student wellness, second reading.
Any discussion?
I noticed that the language was reinserted on page 5 for homemade products, so I appreciate that, and I'm glad it's back in.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Okay.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
Okay, we have a motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second by Ms. Sanchez. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales,
Yes?
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes?
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards,
Yes.
Milburn Dolan,
Aye.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. Okay, RISD Annual Preventative Maintenance Plan.
Madam President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the RISD Annual Preventive Maintenance Plan.
Do we have any discussion?
As I was reading through this, it's an incredible document. And I want to commend everyone that had a hand in this. And I realize that a lot of it is state implemented. You just copy, cut, and paste. But there is a lot of work that goes into this. And I have worked on this before, so I know the extensive process.
And do you know why this was created,
Yes,
Ms. Kirk?
yes, I do.
For the rest of the board who wasn't, maybe Hilda, you might remember this, because we had to go through this when we first started remodeling our schools. One of the issues that the state was arguing about is that the school districts aren't doing a preventive maintenance plan, didn't have all those things, and if we're gonna spend all this money, and I don't know the cutoff anymore, but I think it's 71 to 73% the state pays for when we remodel or build a new school. So they wanted everybody in the state to have a preventive maintenance plan, and those things came in place. So this has been going on for quite a few years, and it is a requirement in that, and you are correct, Ms. Kirk, this is a tremendous amount of work. But it gives the board a lot of information, because that's one of the charges of the board, is the construction and maintenance of our facilities is up to your standards. And I can't wait till you guys can get back into the buildings and making school visits. That's an important aspect. So when people say to you, are our buildings being maintained? How's the construction at Mesa going? You can give those things. And right now, during this pandemic, you can't do that. So I'm excited for you to get back in schools to do that. Ms. Sanchez?
Mr. Gottlieb, do you conduct internal department satisfaction surveys?
I'm going to turn that over to Chad.
Okay.
Mr. Cole?
Yes, sir. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Superintendent Gottlieb, Board President Morales, members of the board. So we do conduct surveys. We've also moved to the School Dude platform in terms of our work order process, which is very similar to a purchase order process. It's all done electronically. There are no copies of paper hiding under someone's desk or any of that kind of stuff. One of the things, and if I could just for briefly, and I will be brief about it, just want to brag on Sean Benedict, our maintenance coordinator, and his maintenance supervisor, Mr. Darrell Evans. They put this document together. It is an annual requirement, particularly if you're doing school construction. So there are a couple of things that they look at the PSFA, Public Schools Facility Authority, and the committee that doles out those dollars each year to the school districts. And so the preventative maintenance plan is a crucial piece of that. Having a up-to-date 5-year master plan, having a bond rating, having a timely audit, all of these things combine to make for successful matching funds to the school district. And Mr. Gottlieb, you're not far off. It's still around a 71% match, at least for Roswell schools. Now, that varies from district to district. So I'll give you an example. Carlsbad, which is just south of us down the street, I believe the last time I talked to them, they were getting they were offered a 10% match on their construction. So we can't belabor the point that that matching fund from PSFA and I guess I shouldn't say jumping through the hoops because they're beneficial hoops to jump through, but working hand in glove with them has been such a blessing to our district and what we've been able to accomplish in terms of construction for this school district. And we're well on our way to getting all of our schools either completely renovated or brand new construction, and are working towards that goal. And Mr. Gottlieb, you kind of kicked this off, well, not kind of, you did. You kicked it off in 2005, and we tried to maintain that and keep going with that. And so we do conduct those surveys. The work order process is part of that survey as well. We're looking to improve each year on our work order process. So how quickly are those work orders turned over? Meaning how quickly are they addressed? How many are outstanding? How many have we completed successfully? That's all valuable data, and that goes through that school dude system. I would like to take some people, or maybe virtual some people, to the school dude training on an annual basis, and just kind of keep a good rotation there, because that school dude software package has really been beneficial in terms of the information we're able to collect, gather, and evaluate ourselves on.
So we have two principals here, ex-principals, retired principals. That was the number one concern that reached the board from the principals, was the lack of progress of work orders.
Work orders
It
have
was,
always been a sticking
it was a
point.
terrible issue,
Yes,
so.
yes.
School
Can I
dude-
throw this out just for everyone? I try to every chance I get, but I don't always visit with school staff on a regular basis. So if we don't know about it, we can't fix it. And you know, that's not to be tried. It's just that work order process is what lets us know about it. And if it's, when I'm monitoring how quickly we're rolling over those and completing those work orders, that tells me a lot. So we've really made a push. And again, Daryl and Sean, you know, knowing that this increases the workload and those things, have really pressed out at the schools, particularly with our custodial staff and certainly with our maintenance staff, to go through those buildings and mark it down. Let's get a work order turned in. And you know, if we're going more than 30 days on a work order, I probably need to know about that. And so, but the work order process is how we know about it.
Well, I, for one, was thrilled when we went to the school dude process, because it meant we didn't have to take Candy to the maintenance department to get things fixed.
You're not supposed to tell our secrets, Mona.
Bribes.
Pickle money.
Mr. Cole, does this plan bring school staff people together in the district to kind of find and resolve the maintenance problems?
So I don't know that it's specific. There's not a specific committee. Let me put it that way. If I think that's what you might be asking. But are there inputs from the maintenance group and the custodial group? Yes. Okay. I think if we wanted to look at a committee process, that would be valuable. It could add value to the process of updating this every year. I will tell you that this year, and it'll come as no surprise to you, that COVID kind of changed everything, and including this preventative maintenance plan. We also had some new buildings come online. For example, Del Norte, that changes the square footage of a building and how we approach cleaning the building and maintaining the building, and the products we use in doing those things. So the preventative maintenance plan this year was a doozy, and that's why we're kind of halfway through the year and getting it to you. Typically that would be closer to the front end of the year, but also with the filtration systems in our buildings and new and evolving requirements for filtration, whether it's moving to MERV 13 filters, which then necessitates additional change out of those filters on a more regular basis, which increases your costs, or whether it's adding ionization systems to filtration systems that don't allow for a MERV 13 or that high. So a lot of changes have been made pretty rapidly this year, and really in just the last month or two with regard to filters. So again, I just hats off to Sean, Daryl, and the maintenance and custodial group for their work on this plan.
Do you have a number of compliments?
If you'll let me go, I could go all night.
How about complaints?
Complaints, well.
No, both complaints or compliments.
Yeah, well, complaints are important. Complaints are important, especially when they're legitimized. You know, one of the things in a school district, I'll try not to be too blunt, but, you know, we get a lot of complaints. And so, you know, typically when you research a lot of those complaints, you find out some of those complaints are not true, or not quite true. But you do find value in complaints that you can verify, yeah, this is going on and we didn't know this is going on. So, yeah, complaints are a good thing in my book, in terms of, you know, legitimate complaints. If there's a legitimate problem, nobody wants to fix problems more than Mr. Gottlieb, myself, and our maintenance group. We want to fix those problems and make everybody's life easier. That makes our life easier, and hopefully makes our board life easier as well. But do you mean is there a process for
documentation?
Complaints? Is that what you're?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I don't have a specific process for fielding complaints. Typically, I get a phone call and you know, it may be a principal, it may be a teacher, it may be a superintendent, it may be a school board member. And if, you know, the first thing I do is write it down and go follow up and find out what the facts are and what I can confirm and those types of things. So, but I don't have a specific process for fielding complaints.
And you do have a employee handbook for this department? Yes. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussions or questions from the board?
Awesome job, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second made by Ms. Sanchez. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Sure.
Milburn Dolan?
Yes.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. Next, RISD Safety Plan.
Madam President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the RISD safety plan.
Is there any discussion?
I just have one question, Mr. Gottlieb. Does the district have, or all the schools have a parent and a student reunification plan?
Parent and student.
Reunification.
Reunification plan, they get separated.
You know, like in a crisis.
In a crisis, the answer is yes. Now, let me kind of give the board, and I'll make this quick, I know it's getting late. I am very unhappy with our safety plan. And the reason I am so unhappy is not what LJ did. LJ has done an outstanding job and training. What I am happy about is the state is making every school district do something like this. They don't have the expertise we have with LJ. I'm just going to tell you, this has been a concern across the state of New Mexico. I got an email from the PED today, and they said they're cutting back. They're making forms that it's just generic, except for those situations where you have ideal problems. And that's where LJ comes in his expertise. The other concern I had in this is a safety plan, not an educational plan, and they had educational stuff in here.
Ooh.
And I've already told LJ, if you hear back from the PED and they want you to do something else, I'm gonna tell them, you tell them to come talk to me first. LJ did an outstanding job. I'm very impressed. I'm very happy with his training. In fact, he did that with Julie on the emergency software that we have that's going around, and I know that should make the board very happy about that. He's done a great job. He'll stand for any questions that you have. I just want to tell you, it's been a great pleasure working with him. So
Yeah.
Board, a great hire for the district with LJ. LJ,
Yes, sir.
thank you again, LJ. I can't
Thank
tell you
you.
enough.
Thank you, LJ.
Yeah, absolutely. And another 168-page document that was not an easy process. I want to compliment you. It's fantastic. And I have sat through some of your trainings, personally and professionally. And I agree. I echo what Mr. Gottlieb said. We're lucky. What a great find. Your resources, your history, your professional history. It's just, you're one in a million. Thank you.
I appreciate that. To answer that question on the reunification, I would like to get with each of you. We do have a new system, the Navigate 360 Emergency Management Suite. So all of our safety and security items are in there, to include a security alert, which is our Respond app. And for reunification, we actually have a reunification app that uses our Power School and can reunite parents and students. And it's going to be a tremendous tool. We've been working on it for the last 6 months, and if we ever get kids back, we can fully implement it. But I do have each and every one of you in the system as it is. And so if there are any alerts that come out, you will receive text and emails within seconds of anything happening throughout the school. But if we could, I would like to show you this system and be able to get the app onto your cell phone. And that way you'll be able to catch anything that's going on throughout the district.
Perfect.
Thank you, LJ.
Thank you.
Do you want us to make an appointment with you to come see you so you can do that?
Sure, it only takes about 10 or 15 minutes and I can get you signed in, and you'll use your own password and we can get you set up and I can show you all the details. You'll be able to get into the system and see everything we have with safety and security.
LJ, do you want them to email you with a time, or will you email them with some times? How would you like to do that?
They can just email me whatever works for them, and I can meet them or do it over the phone, however we need to do it.
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit, so it's kind of difficult to understand what you're saying, but, okay, we'll email you or.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll send you a reminder. Julie will send you a reminder
Okay.
with LJ's email.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the RISD safety plan?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second made by Ms. Sanchez. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Gilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Yes.
Milburn Dolan?
Yes.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. Next, Teacher Recruitment RFA Award.
Madam President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the Teacher Recruitment RFA Award. And we have Maria Trujillo online to tell you about that. Any questions?
That's awesome.
Okay.
Hello, good evening. So we're bringing before you the Teacher Recruitment RFA Award. This is an award that was utilized by funding through House Bill number 2. It is asking us to be innovative in our opportunities to recruit and retain teachers. And so that was the focus of the RFA that came before us. We did submit the grant, and I have to thank Ralph Mata, who is on the line and is available for any questions. He really took the lead on this for us and submitted that to the PED. We also have a community partner. This is part of our innovative strategy. So on the line, we also have Administrative Director for the Roswell Chamber of Commerce, Elizabeth Morales. So by submitting this grant, it allowed us to really look at the resources and opportunities to bring in some innovative strategies in looking at how we do recruitment. And so Elizabeth is on the line with us. She has been able to help us to explore some possibilities. And through this partnership that we have with her, it has also allowed us to strengthen our outreach for stakeholders and to truly value the opportunity and the great resource that we have when we bring in new teacher recruits or new families, and how that does impact the community. So Ms. Morales, if you are on the line, if you'd like to add anything about our process, we would appreciate that.
I don't know if she's online.
It looks like she may not be on. And I believe.
I am online. Can you hear me? Oh, goodness.
How many times?
There she is.
Yes, we can hear you.
If you turn the volume down on your computer, we won't hear the echo on your phone.
Okay, can you hear me now? It still does the same thing.
Mute your laptop or computer.
Or she may have another device.
I have it muted, but it still does the same thing.
No, we can hear you now.
Perfectly.
There it is.
Oh, okay, so I picked up the phone. Okay, so, there's like an echo. Do you guys hear it?
No, we can hear you clearly.
Pardon me?
No, we hear you clearly.
Okay, great. So I'm excited about this partnership because we're able to do some things on our end as the chamber for the Roswell School District. And so this is a great opportunity for us to partner up. And I am really excited to be a part of this process with your organization. And anything that we can lend here at the chamber, we will definitely do everything in our power to do so.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. So as you can see, board members and Superintendent Gottlieb, you've got the budget before you. We were awarded almost $30,000. It was $29,633.
Ms. Morales, that's your phone.
No, that was Madeo. Oh, really? Okay, Madeo, continue.
Okay, we'll continue. So we've got $29,633 that was awarded to us. We do have a team approach, and it was a highly competitive grant, so we were really lucky to be awarded the grant and also for the full amount. So as you can see, it is a team approach. We do have both Mr. Mata and myself. We're working with our recruiter, Louis Mestis. I believe you guys are all familiar with him. As well as we've garnered support from several universities. Some of those letters are enclosed in your packet. We have been working really hard to streamline our processes to try to look at recruitment for potential hires and teachers before we actually go to the recruiting fair. So that's going to be one of our innovations in our approaches. And Ralph, please feel free to chime in on anything else that you'd like to point out. But that's really the focal point. As you guys know, with the virtual learning and the technology, we're having to get pretty creative in what we're doing. And it is a challenge because it is new approaches and there are new challenges there. And so that is going to really help us in this new endeavor to be able to explore and hopefully be able to fill those hard to fill jobs that we really need to staff our schools with. Ralph, I believe you're on the line. Is there anything else you would like to add?
$29,000, that's pretty good.
I guess Ralph ain't on the phone.
I guess not.
And if not, you have the information in front of you, so I stand for any questions that you guys may have. We're really excited for this opportunity from this funding from the New Mexico PED. We will follow all of the district guidelines, using the purchase orders and just all of the appropriate processes to follow.
Well, I just want to say congratulations. It's a big chunk of money, $29,633. That's going to help with recruiting.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, Ralph.
Okay, I'm sorry. For some reason I wasn't going through. I know you guys are anxious to get home. I'll just make it pretty quick. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Gottlieb, What we want to do is we want to try to establish some relationships, to try to think outside of the box whenever we're recruiting. We want to take a look using the Chamber of Commerce to help bring in people into Roswell, alternative licenses. That was mentioned earlier with Mrs. Cole, how we're pretty successful in bringing those people in. We want to establish a relationship with the university so that the first time that we're seeing the candidates is during the career fairs. You guys know as well as I do that 99% of those people have already made up their mind where they want to work, and it's very difficult to get them to change their minds. But our thinking was if we start establishing a relationship with them as juniors, sophomores, making those relationships with those clients, we could overcome some of the pitfalls that we have. One of those being salary. Our salary does not compete necessarily with those of Texas or Colorado. But what we're seeing whenever we go out on these recruiting fairs is that we're seeing that these new candidates, this whole new clientele, I guess, wants the relationships and they want the community, and that's what we want to try to sell. So with that being said, is there any questions or anything that you guys would like to ask?
Mr. Mata, this is Mrs. Sanchez. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Does the district update or develop clear recruitment materials?
Yes, ma'am. That's one of the other things that we're working with the Chamber of Commerce. We're getting together to develop some flyers. As a matter of fact, they want to start including us in and I can't remember if it's a monthly or bi-monthly periodical with us giving our input from the district, so they could start getting that out to the different communities.
And I thought I read in the grant that Mr. Holm will be helping to produce some of those items as well?
That is correct.
I was going to add to that, if I may. We've started some projects with Mr. Holm since last year. We're starting like a trifold document. We've gotten some information together already. But as you know, everything takes funding. And then, of course, when COVID hit last March, it pretty much just halted everything. And so Mr. Holm will be able to assist us with that. We have some preliminary work already. And then also we have Jessica Eldridge, who's our administrative assistant, that will also be assisting. And so that's pretty much the team. And again, you know, we're really lucky because when the grant came out, we didn't have too much time to be able to submit it. But because we already had a lot of that preliminary work done, it put us in a strong position to be able to be competitive in this grant.
Nice. I have a question. Oh, sorry. I have a question. What is recruitment going to look like now during the midst of COVID? How are we going to get out there to get those recruits?
Well, you know, some of the things that we are doing is we're having to go to online platforms. One of the strengths that we have is that when we get to be there live, we get to sell our district. And so, as Mr. Mata pointed out, sometimes people have already pretty much made up their mind or have a pretty strong idea of where they want to go. But when we are able to show the videos that Mr. Holm has produced for us about our community, when we're able to give out that literature from the Chamber of Commerce, from the different attractions that are here in our area, then we're able to sell them. Some of the strongest things that we have to offer here in our district is the strong beginning that we can give them through our mentorship program, our teacher center, our materials center, our Wednesday early release. We have so many things that we can offer candidates. And so it really is a strength when we can go there. Well, now that we can't, I mean, that is an excellent question. So we're going to have to go to more virtual settings. We did experiment with some of it in the spring where we were able to sign up through online platforms through colleges, and we were able to give access to candidates' references and applications to our principals, but it was very tedious. They had to go through one by one. Then they had to reach out to them electronically via email. Many of the emails that our students use from universities are directly tied to that university. So once they're no longer there, then their emails are shut down. And as Mr. Mata pointed out, oftentimes it's the seniors that we're looking at. So once they graduate, then that email is deactivated. And so we are having to be more innovative. And so we are looking at the possibility of hosting our own going to those areas where we know that there are potential candidates. Annabelle Borunda is really good about researching the colleges for me based on the information that we have through a platform called Handshake, on which we are members. We're able to see how many graduates they typically have in each of the areas. Say that we're looking for math teachers or secondary education or special ed, whatever that might be. And so we're looking at those numbers of what those colleges are putting out. And then also, as you can see, we've got partnerships that we have streamlined with several of the universities here in New Mexico, and we have letters of support from them as well. And so we are also visiting with them about that early outreach to those candidates.
Nice, thank you.
Mr. Hill or Mr. Mata, do you have a specific goal for how many positions that we hope to fill as a direct response to this grant?
All of them.
How do we know if we're successful in using the money appropriately, and what's our goal?
Well, our goal definitely is to fill the positions, and as Mr. Gottlieb has told y'all, you know, our enrollment is down, so we definitely need to weigh in on the openings that there are, first of all. And so we are focusing on those high needs areas that are so difficult to fill. We're also looking at supporting teachers that may be in a more non-traditional setting, or that perhaps want to become certified in some of the high needs areas. And so it would be beneficial to them to make themselves more marketable, and then also for us. So it's a difficult question to answer. Of course, our goal is to fill all of our vacancies, but what that's going to look like, as you know, numbers are fluctuating right now, and we don't have a clear-cut answer even on what that end goal looks like right now, other than to fill all vacancies.
And also, President Morales, if I could go ahead and add to that, we also have the secondary goal of one of the outcomes being not just filling those vacancies, but changing the processes that we have so that we can be more effective whenever it comes to recruiting. We know that our system is pretty antiquated here in education. We do the career fairs, we use the same job posts and so on and so forth, but this new generation that's coming out doesn't necessarily use those locations or those processes in order to find jobs. So we've got to change our processes. That's one of the things. The second thing that we got to take a look at is we got to take a look at the sustainability. A lot of times whenever you're dealing with grants, and this is one of the things that I had to realize when I was dealing with the community schools grant, is that you have to have the sustainability, because you do have an influx of money for a little bit, but what happens after that money dries out? So you have to develop the systems that could continue on after the money is gone. So those are some of the other goals that we have, not just filling those vacancies, but changing the processes within the department.
Thank you for that.
And often, I was just going to say, and oftentimes you have this startup grant for us to be able to, if you'll notice the budget, then it also includes some of the hardware that we're going to purchase. Those kinds of things will be able to be resources that we can also use in the future. So that addresses that sustainability aspect.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you and acknowledge your attention to those high needs positions, so thank you.
Awesome job.
Mrs. Trujillo, does the district give recruiters authority to issue letter of intent?
It comes through Mr. Gottlieb that gives us the authority to have the letters of intent. And so as long as they meet those requirements, then yes, he can take that through. It is signed by the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. And then, of course, it does have, the letter of intent does have the contractual obligations. And so it goes into those details as to what they would have to meet to be able to, as to why that this letter of intent will be contingent upon them meeting those requirements.
And are you, you have the authority to issue those at the fairs as soon as you talk to the potential applicant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay.
And as you guys know, we also have a relocation incentive that has been added over the years. There's some other, I think some other things that have been added that also will help to entice people over here. But again, once we get them here, we want to make sure that we are supporting them, that we are looking at the retainment efforts, not just the recruitment.
Well, thank you for that, because that was my next question.
The retention.
incentives
and
for
if I may
bonus.
just add on a personal note, I was really excited to see the Achieve Excellence grant because I did write that for the district last year. And that was based on several years worth of data that we needed to support teachers past that first year. And so we were able to start that last year for the district, and I'm just really excited that we're continuing. It is also available to our international teachers. And so it's really nice that not only do we recruit the teachers, we support them when they're here. We do have some non-traditional teachers. And so again, I think with all of our efforts, our concerted efforts in the district, then we'll be able to provide those support networks for our staff.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Kirk and a second by Ms. Sanchez. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards,
Yes.
Milburn Dolan,
Aye.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. Next, the 2021 Notice of Sale and Delegation of RISD Resolution for GO Bond.
Madam President, members of the board, this really is my pleasure to do this one. I recommend the approval of the 2021 Notice of Sale for Delegation of the Roswell Resolution for the GO Bond.
Is there any discussion?
So the sale of this bond will help fund
All
the
your-
construction
All your
for
construction projects
Okay.
coming up.
Mesa and Nancy Lopez.
No, man, those have already been done.
So, no, well, this is a continuation of that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So just to notice though for the board, and Chad, I'm gonna make this really quick, so catch that hint. What was the total cost of building Del Norte? Was that $8 million?
So the total cost of Del Norte was a little north of 16 million.
Okay, so,
71% of that covered by PSFA matching
Okay.
funds.
and then the district portion was,
Of the 16 million,
yep. Come on, math guy.
I'll give you.
16 million, he said?
So, and the reason I'm bringing this up for the board.
Almost 12 million.
Oh, so what I'm trying to bring up to the board is you have Mesa coming up and it's right at that same figure. So you'll be looking at a school at Mesa at the same caliber and quality as what you received at Del Norte. And that's important. So I am going to ask the board one thing. It's on this topic, but off this topic. This has been a big project for Mr. Edwards. He and I've had several discussions on this, the second gym and all those issues. I hope you invite him back if he's not on the board when Mesa is finished, and that's up to him when he runs again, but I would strongly suggest the board do that in his honor, for that was one of his major selling points.
Well, mine too, because I was assistant principal there, and I can
So-
tell you that it was very difficult to walk into that building and with a smile on your face, knowing that it was so outdated.
Yes,
And we
yes,
had a
ma'am.
chance to rebuild it or remodel it, and we let that go, and
Yeah,
shame
don't-
on us.
All right. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can we have a second?
Second.
Can we have a motion made by Mr. Edwards and a second by Ms. Sanchez? May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk,
Yes.
James Edwards,
Yes.
Milburn Dolan,
Aye.
The ayes have it and the motion carried. Okay, for reports, Mr. Gottlieb?
I'll make these fairly quick, but there are some things we need to go over on the superintendent's report. Anything, Chad, on finance?
Just real briefly, W-2s went out last Friday. Same process as we've used year over year in the past. So those should be coming to our staff and employees for tax preparation very soon if you haven't already received them.
Okay.
Okay.
In the mail?
In the mail.
In the mail.
In the mail. Yes, sir.
Okay. Contract problems, Medea?
Yes, sir. So on the contracts, as you know, we went through negotiations, and that was a great process in working with both of our unions, but it was a little bit lengthier than it normally does, than it normally takes, excuse me. And so once that was completed, then of course that went through the board, and then our business office was able to enter that information into our accounting system. So right before Christmas, a couple days before Christmas, we were able to start working on the contracts. What we found out once we started the work on that is that the system that they had used in the past was very time consuming, and it was done by hand. And in an effort, of course, to embrace the technology, look at the accuracy, be able to have that sustainability again so that it can continue for years to come, we needed to go ahead and bring the process up to date. And so we worked with Matthew Pascal in our business office, and then Teresa Lobato is our lead contract specialist for HR. And so they worked together to go ahead and bring the system up to date. It is now tied with our Visions program, which is the accounting program that we use. We also made sure that we are meeting the legal requirements. We found out that our contracts were dated with 3 years for our support staff. The law changed a few years ago, and those had not been updated. It is now 1 year that we're looking at. So employees that are support staff that have less than a year get a certain contract, and those that have a year or more get a different contract. And again, we did not have those up to date. So we wanted to make sure that they meet the legal requirements. They also should be based on training and experience. For those of you that are familiar with the funding formulas, we're looking at T&E. And so that wording was not in there. So again, we made sure that we are meeting all of those requirements. So it's taken us a little bit longer to update the system, but now we have a system in place that will be a system that can be replicated. They can be generated through the electronic format, and we're looking at accuracy. Those are ready to go out now. They will be going out in the morning. We just ran out of time today since we did have some other opportunities for the district with COVID vaccines, but those will be going out tomorrow. We did have a Zoom meeting with the principals last week, and we had asked them to forward that information to each of their staffs to make sure that they were being kept in the loop. And so we do anticipate those will be going out tomorrow. Good. Any questions on the contracts?
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that, and I really appreciate
Thank you, sir.
Support of getting this right so that we don't have to rely on one person. A virus vaccination update. Board, we started today.
Yay.
So we will be vaccinating 100 people tomorrow.
Nice. Who's doing it?
Well, they've asked not to be, they don't want to
Here
run.
in the building?
No, it has to be at the location that's been designated by DOH.
Nice.
So we actually had 145 people volunteer of our essential workers. Who's essential workers should be your next question. Cafeteria, bus drivers, custodians, special ed staff who are working face-to-face with kids. Did I say bus drivers?
Yes.
I'm leaving somebody out. Anyhow, there was 4 major categories. Nationwide, statewide, 1/3 to 50% of the staff were willing to do that. We're right about 87%.
Wow.
So I hope this continues with the rest of the staff. We'll be working on this. We already have, like I said, we have that 45 that didn't get it this time, and it's already up over 50 some already that are wanting the vaccine, because we got those now that are have medical issues that need the vaccine right away before we can get them back to school. So we're their priority next with the cafeteria and the bus drivers that we missed this round, and the rest of the special ed staff. So we're going to be kicking those out pretty quick. I want to thank everybody for your patience. This is first exciting news, in my belief, for the school district and our kids. And I really want to thank the staff for stepping up and doing this.
Absolutely.
So we are still required to do the 10% testing by the state. That's not a choice. Yeah. That is mandated. Where the vaccine is not mandated, the vault testing, surveillance testing is mandated. Okay. And we have to do that even And I had this question today, sent it off to the PED and DOH. If we have our vaccinations in place, do we still have to do the COVID testing, surveillance testing? The answer is yes.
That makes sense.
Interesting.
So I was not happy about that, but we're moving forward on that. We've had some issues, but we're moving forward on that. But the vaccination was a great start today, and I was very impressed with our staff for volunteering, saying we'll step up to the plate. So that should make the board very happy, and
Yes.
please let them know that.
So one question, can board members be put on that list?
No, I'm sorry. You know, people have asked me, when can I be on that list? And I said, listen, there are some people that are directly involved face-to-face, and they're in large groups. Can you imagine if we had to close down both Goddard and Russell High Cafeteria at the same time? With 70,000 meals going out? We couldn't do it. So, you know, when you look at those situations, we've got to get those done first. So we'll be moving to those rapidly as they get the vaccination to us. And then the next round for them will be February 3rd. So if they get it tomorrow, the next round is February 3rd. And we also have a waiting list in case somebody can't make that time slot. So we haven't divided from a 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock time slot.
Good.
So that's all in place. Last time I get to do this, so it's my greatest pleasure to do this. Leadership Achievement Award is presented to James Edwards from the School Board Association. So it's my pleasure to do this.
Congratulations, James.
Yeah, thank you, Milby.
Achievement Award to Hilda Sanchez.
Congratulations, Hilda.
Gracias.
Exemplary Award to Hilda Sanchez.
Yay. Two of them.
Awesome, thank you.
Exemplary Award to Hope Morales, and Exemplary Award to Mona Kirk.
Yay, thank
So
you.
thank you all very much, and I want to thank again Miss Mona for going to the very top of this issue of the School Board Association and representing Roswell well. So I know there's lots of other stuff, Board, but I think I've kept you here long enough tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Board, do we have any brief informational items, acknowledgements?
Yes, I want to say one thing. I want to say welcome back to all of our staff, and good luck finishing out the school year, and I hope you had a restful couple of weeks during Christmas break, but thank you for all you do. You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is the end of the agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Ooh,
Second.
thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Kirk and a second by Ms. Sanchez. May I get a roll call, please?
Hope Morales,
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez,
Yes.
Mona Kirk.
Yes.
James Edwards,
Yes.
Milburn Dolan.
Aye.
And the time of adjournment